In this video, we are going to compare and contrast bar graphs and histograms. Many people use these terms interchangeably, but they are actually very distinct, different types of graphs. A bar graph will have an x-axis that consists of categories or nouns. So if we look at this bar graph here below, we have an x-axis that consists of favorite colors, and then the y-axis is the frequency. We also notice that the bars are the same width, but there is space between them. So if we look, we have space between the bars here. Okay, and then finally, the height of the bars is related to the y-axis value. So we do have numbers here on the y-axis. A histogram, on the other hand, has an x-axis that consists of a range of numbers instead of categories. So here, on this histogram below, we see we have the number of minutes it takes to get to school. The bars are the same width, but they are clustered together, so there's no spaces in between them. Okay, so there's no spaces in between each of the different colored bars here. You might be wondering, why is there a space here between the 60 and the 75? Well, technically, there is not a space there. It's just that we don't have any data between the 60 and the 75 mark. So essentially, there's like an invisible bar there at 0 frequency. Okay, again, the height of the bars is related to the y-axis value. Here are some practice problems related to a bar graph. In this situation, Miss Lim asked each of her students about their favorite kind of pet. Based on their responses, she drew the bar graph at right. Use the bar graph to answer each question. Feel free to pause this video and work through these problems. We will go through the answers in a moment. Okay, so the first question is, what is the favorite pet? So all we have to do here is just look at the bar graph and look to see where the bar is going up the most. So in this case, it is the dog at a frequency of 12. So that means 12 people voted for a dog. Okay, so the favorite pet is a dog. The next question is, how many students chose a bird as their favorite pet? So now we just look at the bird category, which is here. Okay, and then we try to see where that bar ends up on the y-axis. So that would be at a frequency of 6, which means 6 people voted for bird as their favorite pet. For the least favorite pet, we're just looking at where the bar is going up the least amount, or where the bar is the lowest. So in this example, we see that the fish has the lowest frequency of 3 votes. Okay, and then finally, if every student voted once, how many students are in the class? So all we have to do here is just figure out how many people voted for each pet and then add them up. Okay, so if we look at the cat, that is between a frequency of 6 and 9, but it's closer to the 6 than it is to the 9, so it would be 7. As opposed to if it were up here, it would be 8. Okay, so for cat, we have 7. For the dog, we already know it's 12. For fish, we know it's 3. And for bird, we know it's 6. Okay, so now we just add them up. So 7 plus 12 plus 3 plus 6 is equal to 28 students. Okay, so here we have histogram practice problems. And in this situation, we have Mr. Diaz surveying his employees and the time it takes them to get to work. The results are shown in the histogram at right. Okay, so on the x-axis, we have the minutes it takes to get to work, and on the y-axis, we have the frequency. Okay, before we get into these problems, I do want to point out that when we're looking at the minutes it takes to get to work, this bar right here is going to be between 0 minutes and 20 minutes, but not including 20 minutes. So technically, you could say it's 19.999. Okay, so this is including, it's not including 20, up to 20 and not including 20. Okay, so then on the next bar, we're going to have between 20 minutes and 40, but not including 40. So it would be between 20 minutes and 39.999, etc. Okay, and then so on. Feel free to pause this video and come back to it, and we will go over the answers shortly. Okay, so how many employees completed the survey? So all we have to do here is just count up the frequency for each of the bars. So we got 6 for the 0 to 20 minutes. We have 8 for the 20 to 40 minutes. We have 5 for the 40 to 60 minutes. We have 0 for the 60 to 80 minutes. And then we have 4 for the 80 to 100 minutes, and we have 1 for the 100 to 120 minutes. So now we just add these all up. So 6 plus 8 plus 5 plus 0 plus 4 plus 1, and that is equal to 24. The next question is how many employees get to work in less than 20 minutes? So we are going to look at our minutes to get to work when it's less than 20. So that would be this bar right here. And we see that this goes to a frequency of 6. So 6 employees get to work in less than 20 minutes. The next question is how many employees get to work in less than 40 minutes? So here we're going to look at our x-axis and where the 40 mark is. Okay, so now we're going to include all of these here. So both of these bars. So the 6 plus the 8, which is 14. The final question is how many employees take 60 minutes to get to work? Okay, so this is kind of a tricky question because it is asking you to find how many take exactly 60 minutes to get to work. Okay, so if you recall, this bar right here is going to be between 40 and 59.999, etc. minutes. Okay, the next bar, which is essentially invisible, starts at 60 minutes. So for 60 minutes, exactly, there are 0 people that take that long to get to work.